behold the Catholic Prime Minister of Canada. Of course, this is nothing new. Justin, when he's not shutting people down and being a little Adolf Hitler up there with a little French accent, eh? He's been doing this drag queen stuff for a long time. Here he is. He's positively giddy at a drag parade, whatever the hell you call them.
What a pleasure. Oh, no, what a pleasure to be here. Oh, no. We all work together. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Happy Pride!
Happy Pride! But hey, I get it. He stands, when it comes to the really, really important things, the little ferret can be counted on. He stands with Ukraine.
President Zelensky's speech tailor-made for Canada.
As friends, you can count on our unwavering and steadfast support.
Y'all still standing with Ukraine, by the way? Getting a little weird, huh? Getting a little out of control. a little old. Even Biden seems to be a little unsure how much longer he can push this thing, because it's really working out pretty well. And in fact, there's a direct connection now, apparently, to the midterms. Our little buddy, Mr. Greenshirt, helped win those elections. He helped stop the red wave.
Well, when Democrats are sending you billions of dollars of weaponry, the least you could do is reward their favorite mega donor. And what did FTX do with the money Ukraine invested? Well, they plowed it right back into the Democratic Party. Democrats send money to Ukraine, Ukraine sends money to FTX, and FTX sends money to the Democrats' campaigns.
You absolutely could not make this stuff up. And again, how many months? 7, 8 months it's been going on. We were opposed to this nonsense from the beginning. Stand with Ukraine. And stand with a little ferret, too, who's very good friends with Volodymyr Zelensky.
Our friend, Volodymyr Zelensky.
What a little ferret. I can't believe this guy. It's so embarrassing that he's a Catholic. Every time he can get an opportunity to tell the world he's a Catholic, he sure does. Speaking of Catholics now, there's a new documentary out.
In Daniel Andrews' Victoria, things are not as they seem.
There's a thing they call Dan's freezer, and you get put in the freezer if you stand up to him.
Every Victorian can have faith that people in politics are working for them.
He's a really divisive character.
A very capable person, but he's not transparent.
Over a period of 8 years, he's consolidated power.
Whether it's red shirts, whether it's hotel quarantine, it is just so bad.
It's almost like there's a cult of Dan Andrews.
People don't speak up because their pre-selections are under threat. It's undemocratic, it's unfair.
I don't think we've ever been in a worse position.
Crossing Daniel Andrews will completely change your life. If you're down, he'll kick you to keep you down.
What happens to Victoria if Daniel Andrews is returned?
Well, guess what religion he is.
I'm a Catholic. I send my kids to Catholic schools. My faith is important to me. It guides me every day.
They're everywhere. They're in all the positions of power, it seems like right now. Thank you, Vatican II. You know who else went to Catholic schools, by the way? This little guy.
And Mr. President, thank you for your many years advocating LGBTQ plus equality and for everything you've done to assemble an administration that looks like America. And for all that he has done to help people see themselves in a new light of belonging and possibility. On a point of personal privilege, I'd like to recognize my husband, Chasten.
Oh, man, are they grooming him? Want a prediction? Here's a prediction. Here's a prediction about Mayor Pete. Mayor Pete, look for this little clown in the White House before this edition of Idiocracy has come to a completion. Mayor Pete is a baptized Catholic, attended Catholic schools. He even lists Father Jimmy Martin as one of his big influences. It's right there on Wikipedia. Father Jimmy, by the way, had another audience with Pope Francis last week. It was exciting. Austin Ivory was very excited that Pope Francis was praising Father Jimmy. You know Father Jimmy, right?
Recently, I had 30 minutes with Pope Francis.
And he used all 30 of those to advocate for LGBT people. Today I'm sitting down with Father James Martin, Jesuit priest, author, editor-at-large of American Media, and a compelling advocate for LGBTQ people in the Catholic Church.
Do you want another prediction or no? Father Jimmy is going to be Bishop Jimmy before long. And speaking of hostile takeover of the Catholic Church, Cardinal Wilton Gregory, one of Francis's favorite, he just canceled the youth rally mass for life in D.C. And they said the reason that they had gotten well, they didn't really give any reason for canceling it. They just said that after there was dialogue with ministry leaders, they decided to shut down the Catholic pro-life rally. Good plan, Wilton. Very well played. Now, Bishop Strickland, God bless him, looked at that thing like the rest of us did as an obscene outrage, and he protested on Twitter. But everyone else just is sort of, got to pray and obey, right? That's what Francis wants. Got to concentrate on the positives. Tell the world about the good news of the gospel. Don't be so negative. You ever notice that people who say that all the time apparently don't want to burn the bridges with their respectability partners or whatever it is. Just concentrate on the good news. Don't be so negative. But at the risk of being all negative in this case, I would like to point out who it was that appointed a pro-abortion atheist to the Vatican's Pontifical Academy for Life.
Mariana Mazzucato, a member of the World Economic Forum, was named to the post by Archbishop Vincenzo Paglia. Now, she will serve a 5-year term as a member of the Academy for Life, remember. Pope Francis has praised her work in economics as not ideological. But Mazzucato regularly comments on and shares posts being supportive of legalized abortion.
And people want to blame Donald Trump for the fact that there was no red wave at the midterms? I don't get that. Why do they act like this guy's some sort of a prophet who's supposed to be able to solve all the world's problems? He's just a Manhattan businessman. And we've got a much bigger problem here. I mean, Catholics represent the largest Christian denomination in America. Over 68 million members. In those little midterm elections we just went through, Catholics cast nearly 30% of the ballots. That would have changed every single race. And over and above that, look at the Catholics running for office. Look who's in charge. Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, they're all Catholic. And they love Pope Francis. They've got no problem with Pope Francis. Pope Francis has no problem with Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, AOC, John Kerry, and the rest. In fact, the only Catholic politician that probably has to worry about Francis at the moment is Ron DeSantis, since his positions on just about everything, including capital punishment and immigration, run directly contrary to the novelties of his holiness. And bottom line, friends, this is why, when I say there's a spiritual war, you got to look at the spiritual leaders who are on the other side of the battlefield, because even today, the Pope is the most recognized moral authority in the world, which is why everyone from Klaus Schwab to Hillary Clinton are trying to make sure they recruit him on their side of the battlefield. Here's Hillary.
And you certainly don't need to be Catholic to be inspired by the humility and heart of the Holy Father, Pope Francis, or to embrace his message.
Here's Hillary, embracing the message of Pope Francis. Why wasn't that the giveaway that everybody needed? You're still going to pray and obey? You're going to obey this guy? People say, hey, Francis, who cares, man? I mean, nobody cares about Francis. The Pope is going to matter for a long time to come, even Francis. And if you want sort of maybe a clarifying example of that, don't think of Francis wearing the white. Think of Karol Wojtyła. Think of Pope John Paul II. Right? This was a few years ago. This was the most powerful, moral, geopolitical leader in the world. He's credited with having, along with the Gipper and Margaret Thatcher, taken down the wall, right? Ended communism. Massive influence. And you see, all the bad guys, the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, all these people, they know darn well how influential the Catholic Pope is, not just with Catholics, but with the whole world. Who else would be a more significant moral, spiritual leader than the Pope? It's a big deal when you do not have the presence of the Pope or the voice of the Pope trying to call people back to sanity, back to morality. Joe Biden, he goes out of his way to play the Catholic card.
Bo wore these. Hunt got these for Bo and me, and at Our Lady of Guadalupe down in Mexico. and I had visited there, and we all wore them. I'm a practicing Catholic. Bo was a devout Catholic as well, and
so Hunt got them, got the rosary beads. Hunter Biden, that is, down in Guadalupe. He's passing out rosary beads. Who knew? But the takeaway, friends, is the same. Pro-aborts can be devout Catholics. Devout Catholic presidents of the United States can be whatever they want. Pro-abortion Catholics. It's a contradiction in terms. At least it should have been. Used to be. Not anymore. Catholics can be pro-gay marriage. Heck, Catholics can even conduct gay marriages. And after all of that, the Pope will give you communion. Just ask the Catholic President of the United States.
A Catholic priest did not give you communion. He said it was because of your position on abortion. Were you offended by that?
That's a private matter. I'm not going to talk about that. But it's the only time it's ever happened, and we didn't talk about it. He went to the press about it. And it's not a position that I've found anywhere else, including from the Holy Father who gives me communion.
Including from the Holy Father who gives me communion. And see, this is the same Holy Father that's shutting down the traditional Latin Masses worldwide. At the traditional Latin Masses, you have 100% belief in the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist. You see what's going on here? There's a war going on against the Eucharist, against the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ in the world today. It's a scandal that is so big it's difficult to absorb. It's difficult to even consider the ramifications. Catholic President of the United States, pro-abortion, pro-gay marriage, pro-New World Order, telling everybody that the Pope gives them communion, it's fine. It's just fine. You see, friends, Cardinal Muller is right. This is a hostile takeover of the Catholic Church. It doesn't do anybody any good to pretend otherwise. That's what this is.